agencies. 80 cents of every dollar we receive goes to programs like these to help children like Raquel. Call now and ask us to send you a picture and story of one of these children. Once you see the picture, you'll know what to do.
Call this number for your free information kit, including your child's picture, all the facts about Christian Children's Fund, and how to save a child's life. There's no obligation, so call the number on your screen now.
Many young surfers travel the world searching to ride that perfect wave. This morning, we have the story of an old surfer who's found his share of perfect waves, but is now searching for something even more elusive. CBS's John Blackstone reports.
Doc Paskowitz may well be the oldest surfer still riding the waves. He's a California surfing legend, calls himself the first Jewish surfer.
This is the day that God made. Let's really go out and surf.
And at age 86, figures he's earned some privileges.
I get to be a pain in the tuchus. And the older I get, the less I worry about being a pain in the tuchus.
And this past week, he became a pain in the tuchus in the pursuit of Middle East peace. You might call it surfboard diplomacy.
He comes up with the unusual idea, and then it takes off to another level.
Doc read about the crowded beaches of the Gaza Strip and about the young Palestinians trying to surf, but not having enough surfboards.
So I told my son, come, we'll go to Israel and get them some boards.
But there was one problem with Doc's plan. Things in the Middle East are not nearly as mellow as they are here on the California beaches he loves. And things between Israel and Gaza are not mellow at all. Since June, when the armed militants of Hamas seized control of Gaza, Israel has kept the strip sealed off. Only essential emergency supplies are allowed in. So when Doc's helpers rolled 15 surfboards up to the fortified crossing, the guards put it bluntly.
You can't go in.
But Palestinian surfers were waiting on the other side, so Doc made it clear to the guards he wouldn't take no for an answer.
I came 12,500 miles. You're not going to keep me from seeing those men, are you? And I grabbed him, I kissed him, and he said, don't hug me, don't hug me.
That was enough to get the gates open. The Palestinians carried the boards into Gaza and headed directly to the beach. Doc hopes they'll find the same peace he does riding the waves. John Blackstone, CBS News, San Francisco.
And we thank you for joining us this half hour. This is CBS News Up to the Minute.
CBS News, experience you can trust.
Now on CBS News Up to the Minute.
Something has got to be done to put teeth in these constant statements made by our president and others. We're not going to stay there forever.
Republican Senator John Warner says he may sign on to legislation ordering a timetable to pull U.S. troops out of Iraq. And wildfires in Greece burning out of control from one end of the country to the other have already claimed at least 60 lives. Good morning from CBS News headquarters in New York. This is Up to the Minute. I'm Meg Oliver. The grinding war of attrition in Afghanistan continues to take a major toll on U.S. and allied forces, but it's also thrown a major monkey wrench into another top American priority, the worldwide war on drugs. A United Nations report due out today shows Afghanistan is now producing 95% of the world's opium, the main ingredient of heroin. Production is out of control. up 59% in 1 year, with an estimated 610 tons harvested. Most of the opium poppies are being grown in the Taliban stronghold of Helmand province, where insurgents protect growers and traffickers, take a cut, and pay local officials to look the other way. The White House is spending $600 million on a counter-narcotics program in Afghanistan. Despite that, poppy production has increased every year since the U.S. invasion of 2001. President Bush has refused to order aerial spraying of the poppy fields, fearing it might disrupt the local economy. Opium and heroin accounts for about a third of the entire Afghan economy. Iraq's Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki is now coming under fire from both sides of the aisle in Congress. The Republican minority leader in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, calls Maliki's government, quote, pretty much a disaster. And Virginia's Republican Senator John Warner says he may sign on to Democratic legislation ordering a timetable for the pullout of U.S. forces.
Maliki has let down the American forces, the coalition forces, indeed the president, in not carrying through with his part of the bargain.
Maliki isn't taking the criticism lying down. CBS's Wendy Gillette reports.
The
Prime Minister fought back against that criticism Sunday, specifically targeting Democratic Senators Hillary Clinton and Carl Levin. He says their comments about the slow political progress in Iraq are unfair. Democratic presidential candidate John Edwards countered Maliki's criticism on CBS's Face the Nation.
I think that Maliki should quit worrying about Democrats and the presidential campaign in America and start worrying about what he needs to do in his own country.
The criticism leveled against the Prime Minister has grown as the U.S. approaches an important moment in the war in Iraq. The top American commander in Iraq will address Congress in mid-September about what has happened since the U.S. troop surge earlier this year. At least 7 Republican senators have offered some resistance to President Bush's Iraqi policy. Wendy Gillette for CBS News.
A dozen countries have sent firefighters and gear to help the Greek army battle wildfires that are burning out of control from one end of the country to the other. In the past 4 days, at least 60 people have been killed in the inferno that is so vast it can be seen from space. CBS's Sheila McVicker reports.
Fanned by a stiff wind, fueled by a tinder-dry summer, across Greece, the hills are going up in flames. In village after village, residents have watched as the fires race through timberlands, across pastures, and then into town. You've got to go, one man tells his neighbors. Terrified to stay, afraid to leave with too little equipment to do anything that would make a difference. People are waiting until the last possible minute to make their escapes. Some have waited too long. The fires have moved so fast that some of those who tried to erase the flames died in their cars. Greek officials say dozens are dead, among them a woman and her 4 children. The Prime Minister has declared a state of emergency, calling this an indescribable national tragedy. The very strong suspicion is that this is the work of criminals, perhaps unscrupulous property developers. It's happened here before. Greek TV has broadcast this amateur video claiming that these 2 men are arsonists at work. As they leave the hillside, the first wisps of smoke can be seen. One piece of good news, firefighters managed to stop the flames outside the archaeological site of ancient Olympia, home to the first Olympic Games. And Greek pleas for assistance have been answered. More water-carrying helicopters and planes arrived today. But fires are burning in more than half the country. And in too many places, especially at night, there is still not enough help. Sheila McVicker, CBS News, London.
The tight credit market nearly scuttled Home Depot's plan to sell its commercial supply business. But after a weekend of intense renegotiations, Home Depot reportedly cut the sale price by nearly $2 billion to $8.5 billion. Trouble in the housing market will likely reach historic proportions on Thursday with the release of a government report on the median prices of homes, which for the first time ever are down. CBS's Bianca Solorzano has more.
The already rough real estate market may be about to get bumpier. Economists predict a government report due out Thursday will show a national drop in the median price of single-family homes since last year. If economists are right, it will be the first time that's ever happened.
cumulatively, prices should fall somewhere between 5 and 10% nationwide.
The median price for a single-family home is currently $223,800. The median price is the number midway between the least expensive and most expensive houses sold in a given period. Economist Mark Zandi says too much inventory, weak demand, and tighter credit have been problems in some markets for 2 years.
Well over half the country is now experiencing price declines and will experience further price declines through this time next year into 2009. That's unprecedented.
In Reno, home prices are down more than 6% from a year ago and are expected to drop close to 11% in the next year. Minneapolis prices are down 2.6% from last year. And in Hartford, home prices are down more than 5% from a year ago and are expected to fall further. But the price slump hasn't spread everywhere. Home prices are up in places like Charlotte and Austin. With home prices dropping in so many areas, many families could lose a big financial cushion, their home equity.
For those homeowners who've bought in over the last couple, 3 years, their piggy bank is broke. There is no cash there to pull out because house prices have been declining and they have no equity in their home.
Obviously, this is a buyer's market, but some economists warn buyers should be patient. You don't want to catch a falling knife. You don't want to buy a home now only to see its value fall over the next year or two. So take your time and choose wisely. Bianca Solorzano, CBS News, New York.
More news ahead. This is Up to the Minute.
Great balls of fire! You got the bond, you got the bond, you got the wedding bond. We got the king, we got the queen, we do the discount thing. You got the bond, you got the big red bond. You got the discount price and it feels so nice. Buy at the wedding bond near you.
Next reach. Mama being good. Hot Mama Pauline dishes up a tasty treat in our kitchen.
Actually, I'm stealing a recipe, y'all.
I'm making the dinner. She's on dessert. And it could get a little ugly. Holy macaroni! And Grandma Paula takes us home to meet her newest grandbaby. Plus, our guy Colby takes his mama on a one-of-a-kind adventure.
Getting in a hot air balloon, it was really special.
Today at 3 on 4.
How did they do that? A top secret performance. I've never seen anything like this.
Wow, that was fantastic!
A brilliant invention that makes women look thinner.
Oh my goodness!
It's a first. Take our Oprah crossword challenge. And you won't believe your eyes.
How did you do that?
Plus, the $1 million moment that left me speechless. Next Oprah.
Today at 4 on 4.
$99. Lease a brand new 2008 Hyundai Sonata from just $99 a month. $99 a month. Only at Bill Settles Hyundai. Northwest 36th Street and 32nd Avenue, just 10 blocks east of the airport.
CBS 4 News on your cell. It's breaking news video, real-time weather radar, and live traffic cams. You can count on it wherever you are, whenever you need it. CBS 4 News on your cell. Log on to CBS4.com to sign up.
Netting Barn has the largest selection of the world-famous Tempur-Pedic at the guaranteed lowest discount prices. You gotta feel it to believe it. Buy it today, sleep on it tonight.
In Florida, Davie, Tamarack, Deerfield Beach, Boynton Beach, and West Palm Beach.
It's 10 past the hour. Atlanta Falcons quarterback Michael Vick is scheduled to formally plead guilty to federal dogfighting conspiracy charges today in Richmond, Virginia. On Friday, the NFL suspended Vick indefinitely without pay. CBS's Hari Srinivasan has more.
Don't go anywhere. Keep it locked to your boys. The 2 Live Studios.
As soon as Michael Vick entered a guilty plea Friday, a jury of his fans began to pile on.
And the plea that he signed already is enough to bury him. To bury him.
It was the hot topic on Atlanta sports radio stations.
Mike Vick is a stupid moron who put himself in a bad situation.
In the plea, Vick admits that he's guilty of setting up a dogfighting business, of buying the property, and of buying the dogs. But he does not admit to gambling on the fights. If that was an attempt to avoid being kicked out of the NFL, it didn't work. Atlanta Journal columnist Jeff Schultz calls Vick a coward.
He's hiding behind words right now. It was a very cowardly way out, and I'm sorry to say, because he was a very courageous athlete on the field.
Get
Vic does not say that he directly killed any dogs, but in the statement, he agrees and stipulates that these dogs all died as a result of the collective efforts of Vic and his friends.
I don't know that there's a whole lot of difference between being the guy that actually drowned, hung, or electrocuted a dog, or knowing that it was being done on your property to your dogs by your friend.
Michael Vick still has to walk into a Virginia courtroom on Monday and see whether a judge will accept his plea. He faces anywhere between 1 and 5 years in prison. His prospects for another start in the NFL look bleak.
It would be very difficult for another NFL owner basically to put his arm around Michael Vick and say, here's the new leader of our team.
In suspending Vick indefinitely, the NFL commissioner called Vick's conduct illegal, cruel, and reprehensible, and said that his mere association with illegal gambling violated his NFL contract. Hari Srinivasan, CBS News, Atlanta.
The NFL suspended Vick indefinitely, but what will ultimately become of his career? Mike Freeman is a columnist for Sportsline.com and joins us with some thoughts. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning to you.
You wrote a rather passionate article on this on Sportsline.com, and I've heard a few people say this is it for Vick. He's done, but you disagree.
I don't think he's done by any stretch. I think he'll be back. If he's out of the league, as we expect to be 2 to 3 years, unless something crazy happens down in Virginia, he will be back because he's talented. He may not play at quarterback, but he's really one of the best athletes. I've been doing this for 18, 19 years. He's one of the best athletes I've ever seen. And because of that athleticism, there are going to be teams that want to get him and sign him and will take a risk on him. It won't be a lot, but there'll be a couple.
Is that the right thing to do?
Well, if he serves his time, if we're a country that believes in sort of a bedrock principle of you make a mistake, you can redeem yourself, I say he should get a shot. If he does do his time and he's a good prisoner, I guess that's the best way to put it. If he does do that, he does deserve another shot.
Is the NFL listening to the public about their distaste for what he allegedly did?
Well, the NFL is the most PR-conscious league maybe in the history of sports. They listen and read everything, every opinion, every column, every media person. They're watching what we're doing now. They're going to be watching it. So yes, they will be watching and they will be paying attention to what people think. But I do think this commissioner, Roger Goodell, who's very good, he's going to follow his heart and he's going to follow the rules. And the rules say that he may deserve a very lengthy suspension, if not banishment.
Well, do you suspect, or do you even think that that's a possibility that he would receive that lifetime ban from the sport?
He's going to get at least 1 year. If he got less than 1 year suspension from the NFL, it would be like Christmas for Mike Vick early. It's a no less than that. Probably 2 years. There's a very strong possibility of a banishment, but I don't see it. I don't know if he's going to do that. I know the commissioner is extremely angry. Mike Vick lied to him, did some very cruel things, but really the thing that sort of could get Mike Vick in a lot of trouble is the gambling aspect to this. If he did gamble or was around gamblers, that's something in sports they take very seriously. We saw this with Tim Donaghy in the NBA. The NFL wants no part of that, so that could lead to banishment, but I don't think so.
Mike, you've sat down, you've interviewed Vick one-on-one. What do you make of him?
One-on-one, and just one-on-one with him, talking to him individually, he's a very quiet, very nice guy. This sort of shocked a lot of people that thought they knew him, including the owner, Arthur Blank, who thought he knew him very well. No one really knew what the real Mike Vick was like. But one-on-one, he's a very kind of a humble, laid-back kind of guy. It's a stark contrast to what we see now.
Obviously, he isn't the first professional player to make all the wrong headlines. It seems like every sport has some, bad players out there right now. Does this all come down to money? Are they paid too much money? What's the problem? It seems like more and more of them are becoming corrupt.
I think that's a fair point. Most athletes I'm around are pretty good people. But it seems like there's a growing number of athletes who are becoming, I guess the word is arrogant. Maybe it's the money, maybe it's the power, but there's a growing arrogance that I don't have to be accountable to anyone except me and I can do what I want. I think there's a lot of that, but I do think leagues like the NFL are trying to stop some of that with some of these camps they do with players, some of these seminars they do with incoming players, young players, to teach them the right way to sort of handle things and do things, but some of those lessons are being lost on people.
Well, let's say Michael Vick does wear an NFL uniform down the road. What does that say about the game?
Well, it says that what the game has always been. The game has always been, get me the best players. This is a league that, there's a name I want to throw at you, Leonard Little. St. Louis Rams. Leonard Little was accused of driving drunk and while driving drunk got in a car accident and killed a woman. Leonard Little still played in the NFL because teams want talent. He could play. So it says that what sports have always been about, which is talent first, maybe moral second. Some of that is shifting. This new commissioner wants to be tough, so some of that's going to change. But for the most part, teams will want a talented guy.
All right, Mike, thanks so much. And of course, for all the latest sports news and commentary, just click your computer to sportsline.com. Columnist Mike Freeman, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Still ahead, students, what's good about getting carded for your student ID when we return? You're watching CBS News Up to the Minute.
I'm a busy working mom, so it's tough to keep my home neat and smelling fresh, especially with 2 teenage boys. Whew! So I've got this new Airwick Freshmatic Mini. It automatically sprays fragrance every 7.5, 15, or 30 minutes, so it's working even when I'm not here. What do you think, boys? Cool. Mom, you're so high-tech. New Airwick Freshmatic Mini. With Airwick, it's good to be home. Also look for Airwick Freshmatic Ultra.
Now, see, when people think of Geico, right, they think of car insurance. And of course, saving money. But sometimes that can lead even the savviest driver astray.